Hi, this is Andy from Tennis with Andy. Welcome to my channel. Just to give you a brief intro, I'm a 4-0/4-5 player. I've been playing for quite some time, since I was 10, and tennis is my passion, so this is Tennis with Andy. I've used the Wilson Pro Staff in the past, but I've really been a racket junkie over the last couple of years, and I generally prefer stiffer polys, and I have an all-court game. So today, my goal is to really go into more of the technology behind the rackets and behind tennis equipment, and really help you have an objective view as to what would be the best equipment for you, and also just give you my perspective and my subjective opinion as to what has worked for me. So today I'm going to be reviewing the Diadem Elevate Tour. It's a racket by Diadem. Diadem is a relatively new tennis company. They're American based, and they really started with their strings, and then they ventured off into rackets in the last couple of years. So I've been hitting with a stick for a few weeks now. I got it as a demo, and then before I eventually ended up getting it. So here it is. It's 98 square inches. What else to say about it? 98 square inches, and it's a 16 by 20 pattern. Swing weight's about 330, which is a nice sort of my limit. I think it's a good weight in that it's beefy enough where you're gonna get plenty of plow through, but it's not cumbersome like the Blade or the RF97A, where it's just harder to swing. One thing, let's start at the bottom of this racket. So one thing I really noticed is the grip. The grip shape is a bit different from what I've been used to, especially with my Wilson Pro Staff, as well as my Babolat Pure Strike. So I feel like this part is this bevel right here. These two bevels are really wider than the other bevels, so it's not truly a hexagon. But what this does is it enables, it really feels good for the semi-western forehand. So my hand just kind of sits nicely onto the racket, and it's provides a nice easy swing, and it's good to it has a good feel where it's easy to transition. So now another thing to note is that the grip size runs a little large with Diadem, and this is key because a lot of racket companies are really getting rid of the 4 5/8 grip. So I say, like, if you're a 5/8 player, you could easily use the 4 1/2 with Diadem and add maybe 1 overgrip or 2 overgrips, and it'll be 4 5/8. So I've really enjoyed it. The grip, I think it's really good for the two-handed backhand as well, in that it's the grip length is long enough where I tend to spread my hands with my backhand, spread my left hand, and really do the sort of like the Milos Raonic finger, right? In terms of when he serves, he really brings out this finger. I spread out my finger to really give me a nice feel for topspin. So I like having the longer handle to enable that. So moving on to the racket, it's as I mentioned, it's 98 square inches. It's one of those ones where the ball goes where you direct it. It's a 16 by 20, which I feel is a really great string pattern because it's sort of in between the 16 by 19 and the 18 by 20. And what I've noticed over comparing this to like the Yonex V-Core 95, which is also 16 by 20, is that the string space on the mains is a bit wider. So if you look right at the edges, the string goes pretty much all the way to the edge. So what that means is that it gives you more space for your string bed, and I would say it's an open pattern 16 by 20, so you get plenty of topspin as well. I wouldn't say plenty, maybe enough topspin. definitely more than 18 by 20s. Another thing to note with this racket is that it has an RA of 67 unstrung, and it goes down to about 64, but it's foam filled, so like it's doesn't give you doesn't with the right string setup, it doesn't really give you harsh vibrations. What's in here now is Babylon, or it's Diadem's flagship string, which is a Solstice Power, having a 16L at 52 pounds. And when I demoed the racket, maybe the strings were old, but I found that it felt a little bit stiff, and I noticed the stiffness, especially when I had bad form, like if I was hitting the ball too far back, or if I was trying to wrist it to get it in. So what I found with this racket is, as long as you have good form and you're hitting the ball out in front, even these strings, which are a little bit on the stiffer side, it feels pretty comfortable. But I could talk about the strings another day, but overall, I thought the strings were good. It's a nice fit for this racket. Don't string it too tight. I would recommend just your normal tension. Okay. So, who is this racket for? I'd say a player has like a sort of a classic game, but is looking for a more modern feel. So for me, for example, I love serve and volleying, so like I really need something that feels good on the volley, and so this racket is perfectly stable, and it still has that whip where I feel like I could really put heavy topspin on my returns and be aggressive with my returns, and especially with this setup with Solstice Power, is one that encourages you to swing out. And if you swing out, you'll get enough power and spin to keep the ball in play. Now, if this is a little bit too harsh, then I'd recommend hybriding the strings to get a little bit of a softer feel if you're looking for that. But overall, I think this is a great racket. I think this is one for I'd say like more like old school players, or aspiring juniors who have more of that classic stroke style, kind of like a Bautista Agu, or a CC Pass, or let's see, probably like even Osaka. I feel like has a nice classic stroke style. So, but if your game is built on like just flicking with your wrist to get top spin, which you shouldn't really do, by the way, this racket definitely isn't for you, because you're going to hurt yourself trying to do that. But overall, really happy with Diadem so far. It's a company that I'm going to try and explore some of their string offerings. It looks like they make high quality products. You could tell by their attention to design, both on a technology side as well as just the details of how the racket looks, their bags, their strings. So definitely would recommend at least giving this a demo. All right, so this is my review of the Diadem Elevate Tour. Hope you enjoyed it.